So that's another video about the spread of the Gothic style. Now I'd like to say some words about English Gothic cathedrals. England was quite receptive to the Gothic style, and it is unsurprising since some Gothic elements were already used in Norman buildings, for example, the rib vaults at Durham Cathedral. And in the late 12th century, a French architect, William of Sens, rebuilt the choir of the Canterbury Cathedral in the French manner, but there were significant differences between English and French Gothic architecture, and not to say that many English cathedrals were located in countryside and not in urban centers. So, for example, there was not such a degree of enthusiasm for height in England in comparison with France, and that can be seen in Salisbury Cathedral. Height is not the main goal, and the flying buttresses do not function as integral parts of the vaulting system. And the facade in Salisbury Cathedral also differs from French models, and it is more like a screen wall which is wider than the church itself. And inside Salisbury Cathedral, one can see certain Gothic features, certain Gothic elements, but there is also a strong horizontal emphasis of the three-story elevation, and the interiors with its color contrast recalls some Romanesque buildings. And in general, there are some classifications of English Gothic architecture, and the most famous Rickmans one include early English, decorated and perpendicular faces. So decorated Gothic is characterized by a network of ribs and lawns. So the adding of ribs was made by for decorative purposes, and also by richer ornamentation, by tracery and huge windows, and etc. An outstanding example of decorated Gothic is Exeter Cathedral, while the features of perpendicular Gothic include a strong vertical accent, and also the multiplication of ribs and the use of fan vaults. So there is a sort of transition from kind of stellar vaults to the fan vaults, and these fan vaults were with tracery and huge large pendants, and also the features include four centered or Tudor arches, and some other elements. So the structural logic of French models was ultimately transformed into the sort of decorative fancy, which in some way reminds Hiberno-Saxon interlace. And the peak of the perpendicular Gothic is the Henry VII chapel at the Westminster Abbey. And by the way, there are some surviving wooden structures in England. For example, the wooden roof of Westminster Hall, a magnificent example of English carpentry. And regarding sculpture, while there, of course, were statues and reliefs on the screen facades, but few English cathedrals had sculptural programs in the French manner. Also, splendid tombs of high quality were produced by English marbles, and can be found, first of all, in Westminster Abbey. So, for example, the tomb of King Richard II and his wife Anne of Bohemia, carved from Purbeck marble in the 14th century, or the 15th century tomb of King Henry VII, and many others. Check the sources and list it in the comments and on the website.